Hey guys, so I'm here today with Dan Clark, CEO of Brain FM. So, bit of a backstory. Daniel is a serial entrepreneur and CEO of Brain FM. It's an innovative technology company that helps users be more productive through the use of functional music, created by composers and artificial intelligence. Pretty cool in itself. So he's been in love with technology and its potential to positively impact the world for as long as he can remember. From building websites when he was 13, starting a design and advertising business at 18, and driving over $2 million in revenue for multinational brands, and as a director of a boutique ad agency. He's truly been on the forefront of how technology can exponentially grow successful businesses. One of his Brain FM's first users, he called the company 12 times before they agreed to bring him in for an interview. When he did receive an offer, he jumped at it, even working for free for the first few weeks. He eventually moved up to head of technology and is now the CEO. As a CEO, Daniel is constantly striving to build a company that can not only change the world through music, but also one of the best companies for people to work and grow with. He's visited over 20 countries across 5 continents and with plans to set foot on all 7, including Antarctica. Dude, you have done a lot.
Yeah, I've actually, since that bio, I've actually done all 7. So
I've done all 7?
I did that in December.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where in Australia did you come?
I went to Australia when I was 21, and I did the whole East Coast. So I did the Daintree Rainforest down to Sydney.
Nice, man.
So I've been to Brisbane before.
Good spot.
Yeah.
Right. Let's start at the beginning. So how did you enter websites at such a young age, and what year was that?
Sure. So I started working, let's see, I don't know. I was 13, and I started doing websites, and when apps were just like a thing that you add to your home screen from like a website. They weren't actually apps yet, you know? And I started because my neighbor's dad growing up, he was always home and he'd play video games with us and things like that. And he always introduced us, like me, to the computer and was always playing this video game of design and things like that. And I found out that was his job. And he taught me really the first HTML, how things work, the concept of it. And then I started making MySpace backgrounds. I did that for a while, and then started actually realizing that I could make websites and people in Japan could see this thing. And at 16, I opened up a website business. Did that for a while as I was building out lead generation business. Ended up selling that. Moving into advertising, finding out advertising wasn't really the passion that I had at one point. I'm a second degree black belt martial arts, so I love to help people and teach people, and make, basically bring out the best inside, what's inside of people. And, I came across in advertising, I was like, it's time to get out. I'm not really helping or changing the world. And I came across Brain FM and I go, holy crap, this is going to change the world. And we can go into maybe why I thought that if you want, but basically ended up calling them. And like you said, I was just determined to be part of this rocket ship. But I never thought I was going to be driving it. So it's been a fun journey.
It's pretty cool. What if we just go back to that growing period?
Yeah.
What happened there exactly? Why were you, how did you learn? Did you have mentors in that process? And what was driving this push to grow this agency? That's a pretty strange thing for a 13 to 18-year-old to be involved in that space.
Sure. So I didn't get into the agency stuff until I was in my 20s. So like 2021 was when I did that. But when I was doing martial arts, so basically I had 2 passions, martial arts and technology, and video games. And I was really interested in always like leveling up, right, from the video game thing. And I always leveled up in martial arts, getting different belts and things of that nature. And I was always trying to push the boundaries in other things as well. So I made my karate school's first website, and started getting leads through that website and realizing, wow, this is something that's generating business and helping my karate school grow. I used to work for one of the largest ones in New England, and then started doing other martial arts websites and turned into this lead generation business. And then this is, when Facebook started, like advertising started coming out, and realizing that I could drive people to these websites through advertising. So it kind of just like evolved over time. And then I found myself running, thousands and thousands of dollars of ads, and just arriving here, and I said, okay, I'm really good at this now, but I've been doing this martial arts thing for a while. What else can I do? And I started working for dog fence systems. I started, doing all these different kinds of companies, and started doing advertising and full like funnel things, and like building out the system. And I realized that one of my strengths was being able to use technology to accelerate businesses. And I just loved it. It was something I could help people with. And the whole time, I mean, I didn't go to school for anything. I think my mentor was just Google. I got really good at Googling. I got really good at learning from mistakes. So I believe that there's no such thing as a mistake until you do it twice. That's when the real challenges start. So, I'd hit a wall and I'd go, okay, never doing this again. I'd learn from it and move on to the next thing. And it kind of just kept stacking and stacking and stacking until eventually I was approached and saying, hey, we have this agency that's going, we need this website or this app at the time. And he took my app that I built for him, marked it up 3 times, and I was like, how did you do this? This is the next level. And I started getting really good at that, doing that, and then realized that I kind of was off the path of what really still excited me, and I still had those skills, but then I shifted to something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So you're very insular up to that point, then you started to expand with new people entering your circle, but just focus in the games and martial arts.
Yep, exactly.
Right, so going to the agency, what happened? How did you grow to 2 million, and tell me a bit about that, I guess, shift in worlds?
Yeah, so, the agency was a boutique agency. It was traditional. It was already doing lots of revenue. So that was more on the digital side, and this new shift towards, the Facebook, the social, and, different kinds of integrated marketing. So we did a lot of, like automation systems before there was automation systems, or when they were coming out. So when someone clicks like they see, for example, the full thing would be they see a TV or radio ad, they go to a homepage or a website, and then they have remarketing. They end up into a lead system, and then they get an automated email with certain things. Based on when they open that email, they get the X, Y, and Z. And all this stuff is really readily available today. I can name probably 8 services that do that, but we were building custom services for them from the ground up, and then selling, these, $1 to $5 million campaigns, so that you have this whole system built for you. And that was where, again, I learned not even like on the technology side, but I learned a lot about, relationships building and perception, and really about having like some people, it's not about the level or the service that you're rendering. It's more about the presentation and how you're doing it, and the why you're doing it, So really, I think what I'm trying to say here is that it depends on like the level, like not the starting point or what you see is the why. And I think that's really important for advertising, but also for like any company you're doing. Like, why are you doing it? Why are we doing this campaign? Why is this the best thing with my $2 million? Why is this? And it really started making me be able to connect the dots, which helped me, I think, in a lot of different areas in life.
Okay, that's cool. So you started getting more into the why and stuff, and then how did Brain FM come into the mix?
Sure. So I was, traveling all over. I love to travel, as you guys have heard, and I realized that traveling was kind of taking the fun out of it, because I was on the road all the time in LA or Miami or whatever, and I came to a realization that if I'm going to stay on this path, then I'm going to be somewhere where I just don't want to be. The people that I was hanging out with and things like that, I didn't really like the company that was in that world and things like that. And I wanted the next iteration, I guess. So I ended up giving my 2 weeks in. I remember flying back from San Diego after one of my trips, and just looking through my emails and saying, like, what do I really want to do? I have no idea. I was going to, figure out what to pick. And Brain FM came in an email, in one of their first launch emails, and I was like, this is interesting. And I've always done like biohacking and all these things in the background. And I was like, I'll give this a shot. And then, kept going from there.
That's pretty epic. So, you got the email. Then did you hear that they were looking for someone, or did you just start emailing them saying, hey, I want to work with you guys?
They were not looking for someone. They actually just hired a developer before me. And I told them, I said, listen, this is my resume. This is the things that I've done. You need me. You need to, have me on the team. And let's do it. And I started showing them all the things that I built, and they said, okay, but we can't pay you. And I was like, all right, that's okay. Let's figure out something that, we can work on it. And I was like, listen, I'll work for free, and you'll find the money because, I'm worth it. And that's kind of when they said, okay, let's give it a shot. They ended up having to let go of the other developer, and then, was rising up and then built a team around me.
And how did you transition from developer to CEO of the company?
So I think I'm uniquely positioned to have developer and technical experience, but also on the business side. And, understanding, because that's back to those whys. Why is something important? Really, a business person's job is just solving problems, right? Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, but they're all problems at the end of the day. And I think that me shifting into the CEO role, it was relatively smooth because it's the same thing that I've always looked at. How can tech solve for why, rather than just figuring out how to upload something or something like that. It was a different approach. So relatively okay, but as diving into any role in an evolving company, there's always bumps in the road you're going to see. It's just about how you respond to them.
What is the biggest kind of learning curves for you in that journey, or has been so far?
Yeah, great question. So I think that it's just been making the right decisions, and then learning when you made a mistake, and being okay with that. I think that some of the times, we think of our leaders as someone that is always right and always moving forward in the right direction. And sometimes you make mistakes. And I think the faster you learn from that mistake and realize the mistake and openly share it so everyone knows, you can just go forward. I've made some hiring mistakes. I've made some, directional mistakes and things like that. But as long as everyone learns from it, like I said, no mistakes twice, we can still use it for positive, change. And that's been a big thing on the level of acceptance of okay, not a big deal, move forward,
From a culture perspective, how has it been different with you coming up as a developer and understanding that developers' issues and what they go through?
Yeah, I think it's hopefully been a little easier. I don't have one of my developers here to say yes or no, but it's one of those things where I understand how things work and how the whole process is gone. And I've worked with a lot of people that now I'm leading. I was leading them as a technical guy. Now I'm leading them as CEO. So it's not a huge change. I think that sometimes, especially from the business side, I could think this has to be done. Let's do this. Let's push. But it helps me to remember being on the developer side, being that's impossible, dude. We can't do that. So having that more scope and understanding has been helpful.
How about now? Are you still in the development side at all, or have you purposely created a gap so you don't get involved in the developers' work?
Yeah, no, I'm not involved. Sometimes I have, conversations with them. Obviously, we were still very close. But if anything, I'm more involved in the design, because that's how I started everything. I love design. So we have actually a brand new app coming out soon. And I pretty much designed 90% of that. But that's just because I love it. And also because, it's something that's needed right now for the company. We don't have a full-time designer, so.
There you go. I think someone else listening, they should be sending you emails.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, was there a straight transition from I'm a developer now to I'm a business person within this company, or was there an overlap, and how did that actually impact relationships on both sides?
I think it was a gradual transition. I have to say that a lot of things were just moving really fast when that did happen. But I think what happened was, it's not just me as a developer, there's others. And when someone is, sick or even on holidays, right, you're gonna just pick up the slack, and that's what happened. Where, hey guys, this is the need of the company, I'm jumping in here, and everyone kind of just ran to the aid and started taking over. So it wasn't really a big deal. It's been more of a, oh, I missed development, or hey, let me add my thought process to this, and then realizing that, that's past Dan. Like, this is way more efficient for them to do it, and I can do, building the business, doing things like this, for example. Been more for me, I think, than them.
Awesome. So I guess my next question from here is, let's talk about the business side of things. How's the business funded? How's it structured? How many users?
Sure. Yeah, so we have, we have some funding from some early pre-seed investments. We also have some funding from the National Science Foundation. So we are created in a way, it's a C Corp, but the whole idea is to help use science and use music to help people be their best self on demand. So pre-seed is just regular funding round. Government, we've got a government grant to help us validate that we can compete with ADHD treatments. So there's other ones that are prescription, things like that. And they're funding us to validate and help us prove that we can.
I think our mutual friend may have mentioned this. So again, that in a second, but let's talk more about the business first. With the business structure at the moment, is it profitable? Or are you burning funds to grow, or where's that at the moment?
We are burning funds to grow. Yep.
Okay. And what's the burn rate at the moment?
I'm going to keep that to myself right
now.
That's
fine. Oh, good. And now you mentioned that you're planning on doing a change with the app, like in next few months, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a bit more about what's happening, what's changing.
Yeah, sure. So to maybe piecemeal the other things that you're asking. So we have about 150,000 users or so that are using us, and through the last year and a half, or actually 3 years, I should say, we've learned a lot. We've learned what people want, what people don't want, the new iterations, and we have a lot of things that we've been working on behind the scenes. So all of our music is developed and designed by AI and by composers that work together. And it's a very important relationship because the AI has to be more sophisticated to work better and to do X, Y, and Z. And on the other side, the functionality of the product is like, when I click this, how does this work? Or, these things, and how does it personalize and remember for me and things? And we've been able to marry both of those together. So the new launch that we're launching in a few weeks from now, we'll be having this brand new design, this brand new design language and messaging to talk more about our grant, to talk more about what we're trying to do and pushing the boundaries of auditory neuroscience. Because we don't really share about that. And it's really cool and awesome, and everyone should know that. And we're really pushing this whole experience of now we're the soundtrack of your life. So you wake up in the morning to a certain sound. You do this, you do that. And it's not to replace your favorite song. It's just to aid you better than your favorite song can. So when you're working, it's not to replace your Christina Aguilera if that's your thing, but if you're working, you really want to be using work music, not enjoyment music. And that's the whole idea and the concept. So as we release in the next few weeks, we believe that this is going to be the rocket that we're going to ride as we introduce this to more and more people around the world.
What's the acquisition come through mostly so far? Has it been word of mouth? Have you guys done much paid traffic?
Yeah, so it's actually been probably, I would say 80% word of mouth. There's a lot of referrals that go on actively in our communities because this is like a new coffee. People find this and they go, oh my gosh, you got to try this. And they tell their friends about it. We have done some paid traffic and some things like this where, I go on and just tell people about what we're doing. But that's going to probably change when we start really releasing this new platform.
Nice. Epic. So you guys are planning on doing more paid traffic once you release a new platform and just scale it up there?
Exactly. Yep.
Very cool. If people want to, okay, let's get back into technology. So how did this whole technology start and how did your founders discover it?
Sure. So the inventor is Adam Hewitt, and he's been working on this technology for 18 years or so. So he was actually one of those people that make those video games you can control with your mind that came out like 20 years ago, but never really actually turned into anything. And the reason is because technology was way too expensive and not as accurate as it is today. And it was all built on like EEGs and in your brainwave and things like that. And he was really interested in those video games because that's how you control. And then realized as he was a musician, whenever he plays certain guitars and things like that, that he would be able to have like these patterns in the data, and then started looking into things and going like, oh, wow, this is something that I believe we can do. He started looking at the commercial applications of things that were out there already, and those were like isochronic tones and binaural beats, if you've ever heard of those.
Binaural.
Yep. And what happens is he had all these expensive EEGs and realized that, hey, these things don't really work that well, and he was trying to figure out why. And then basically figured out how we produce music today, which is something brand new called neural phase locking, which we basically can encourage the brain into a certain mental state in 5 to 15 minutes, and then lock there as long as you're listening to our music. So I like to picture the visualization is when you plug in a Christmas tree, it's blinking all at different times. When you're listening to music, it actually aligns the functional networks in your brain to blink all at the same time, so that then we can encourage your brain into a mental state and then stay there. So it's kind of started from that, was more of like a question of like, there's something out there that should be and there isn't, but it makes sense. What are the things that we can do? And that's also why we're big on science. We're a science-first company, is because there has been things before this that say they work and they're, oh yeah, but there's no proof. And we're looking to prove and use evidence to show that they do work. And that's part of why we're growing so quickly.
What kind of books or learnings have shaped your thinking?
Let's see. I think the biggest person who has ever done that to me is probably Zig Ziglar. So like See You at the Top and things like that. I grew up with him in the martial arts, and I've read everything he's done. I think that if one of my favorite quotes from his, you can get anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. And it's so true, right? Like we live in a community of people that all want something and need something. And if I can help you be a better person, then that is invaluable. And that's what we're trying to do here. And that's one of our mission statements for Brain FM.
Nice. On that note, you mentioned earlier that you're into a lot of biohacking. What is your biohacking routine? Is it something you put into your daily or your regular routine that you use in your own life?
Sure. Yeah. So I've done a lot of things. We probably don't have enough time to go through them all, but really right now what I do is I basically go to just having more schedule-based things and like priming and different kinds of psychological things, as well as tools that help me get to where I need to be and for what reason. So I currently, every single day I have a notebook, I have a Moleskine, and I sit down and I always have iced coffee. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, so that's a thing. And I always sit there with a cold brew. I actually use CBD, so I use water-based CBD to put into the cold brew to mix it. There's a lot of CBD that's coming to market, at least in the States. I'm not really sure about down there in Oz.
Not so much yet, but it's starting to come to the States, and as you guys are getting more legalization, it's spreading.
Yep, and it's coming down here. It'll be down under soon, and so I've been experimenting with that. I like it because the one that I use is a water-based one, and there's oil-based and water-based. Oil is you only absorb 5%, water you absorb 100. There's all these things that we're learning, and actually the company that we're using called Ojai, or I use, they are doing the same exact things we're doing at Brain FM. So they're looking into neurological disorders and helping people focus and relax and sleep, but through CBD. So it's an interesting partnership we've been working on. So I do the coffee, I do the CBD, and I put on Brain FM in the morning. And that supercharges me to that zone that I want to get in, for a sustained focus. Then I'll go to the gym, things like that. I try to vary my diet all the time, just to not, kind of lock into a routine. I have to be honest too, as I'm traveling and I'm putting a lot of my efforts into building Brain FM. So sometimes I can't say I'm always on the nootropic or going down that route, but I always do stick to the coffee, the Brain FM, the CBD. At night I usually put on Brain FM as well to go to sleep. I have it on a speaker. So yeah, that's it right now. But I will fluctuate between keto diets and paleo and all that. But right now, nothing except that.
That's cool, man. It's real cool. If people want to learn more and I guess get into the Brain FM world, start their own accounts, what's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, sure. So they can go to brain.fm. So you just go on, online and you can search that. You can also go on the iOS or Android store. It's brain.fm, and we'll come up. We're a purple logo with a little smiley face on it. And you'll see us right there. Download us. You have 5 free sessions to try it yourself and be able to feel the effects of it. And then it's a subscription afterwards.
Amazing. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.